that before I buy like literally anything online, I will spend a solid like 3 to 5 minutes Googling every permutation of the words discount and code that I possibly can. And it's not because I'm cheap, although to be clear, I'm definitely cheap. It's mostly because I'm sort of always chasing a little win. I love little wins. Like, is there anything better than a mutual eye fuck on the subway? Right? There we go. So I really, like, I thrive on little wins, and right now, in the summer of 2017, I need one more than ever. I am 27 years old. I haven't been able to walk in a year, and my job is moving me away from everything and everyone I know to move to glamorous Poughkeepsie. Oh, Poughkeepsie. Yeah, Poughkeepsie is one of those places where, like, you hear it and you know what I'm talking about. It's one of those places that, quite frankly, I used as a synonym for bumfuck nowheresville before I even knew where it was on a map. When you see how it's spelled, you sort of realize that even the founders didn't want anyone to find out it existed. Like, there's a G in Poughkeepsie. Where is it? Fuck if I know. The way it sounds is sort of like an elongated sneeze. I think moving to a random college campus in Poughkeepsie as an adult would be a death sentence for just about anybody, but it's cool because I'm ready to die, baby. This has been the worst year of my life. I've been on crutches for a whole year. Like, that's long enough that the catcalls in my neighborhood changed from, damn, mama, let me lick that ass, to, hey, baby girl, I hope you feel better soon. It's good to know that sometimes even the foulest men can learn to read the room. Backstory, a couple months before my 27th birthday, I had a pretty major surgery on my foot, and it left me crippled. Physically, sure, but also emotionally. The surgery recovery was not supposed to be a year long, but every time I was supposed to be better, I just wasn't. It was always 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards, minus the stepping part. In the middle of it all, I took a job at Window Pane, and signing up for 2 months in Poughkeepsie to produce theater was just the deal. Despite my hopes that the Poughkeepsie thing would be a good thing in this hellscape of a year, it wasn't. I'm fully out of my comfort zone here, and the job, by the way, is a nightmare. Like, my coworkers are calling me Voldemort behind my back, kind of nightmare, which actually, now that I think of it, it's kind of okay to be likened to a man with no discernible facial features, because I sure as hell don't recognize myself anymore. I had been a professional actor before the surgery, and I had to give it up because when you can't walk, you sure as hell can't get on stage. I could have, I suppose, mourned the loss of that part of my identity in a healthy way, but instead I found a new performance style: dating. Dating and acting are really 2 sides of the same coin, and I basically just funnel all that energy from my career as an actor into my new career as a dater. All the validation that I used to get from practicing my craft, I start to get it from bros in Murray Hill who are buying me drinks and telling me I'm hot. Instead of using my foot to act and dance, I start to use my hands and get good at it for, swiping and other things. I learned how to make my foot work for me. Like when I ask a professional soccer player if I can elevate my foot on his lap because it hurts. We hook up in the bathroom 10 minutes later. I learned that dating is actually a treasure trove of little wins. I'm pretty good at this. I may have started dating because it was an activity that I could physically do, but I kept dating because it was a way that I could feel powerful and distracted. The dates get me out of my house, and more importantly for an erotic person like me, out of my head. Dates are the only time that I feel like the sparkly version of myself, more than like an invalid or like the injury that's come to define every waking moment of my existence. I don't really know why I didn't realize there wouldn't be any exciting dick in Poughkeepsie. That's really on me, because as we've discussed, Poughkeepsie is Poughkeepsie, but at this point it's the third week of the season, and I'm really, really not doing great. Like, all joking aside, I'm barely staying afloat. I'm desperate for a fucking win, big or small. And I realized that if I'm gonna medicate with men, which had been my practice at home, I'm gonna have to do some importing of them. So the good news is, as we've discussed, I'm a very good Googler, and I have a spreadsheet with the name of every single person who's coming to campus, so I get to work. And I start stalking the musicians because, fuck actors. And then I find Mark. Oh God, he's gorgeous, and he's a drummer, and I finally have something or someone to pin my hopes on. I know he's the guy, and I can't wait. I mean, he doesn't know I exist yet, but it's gonna be great when it happens. Mark is only in town for 4 days, so there's really no time to lose. At the first chance I get, I march up to him at a company barbecue. Well, as much as anybody can march on crutches, and I introduce myself. It's July 4th, and he's wearing a scarf, which is a kind of character flaw that no amount of Instagram stalking can prepare you for. But it doesn't matter, it's Poughkeepsie, he's the only prospect, I'm going for the win, it's on. And we talk for a few minutes, and honestly, even that small victory sort of sustains me for a day, because it's the first time in weeks that I felt like myself. The next day, I realized that the clock is really ticking here, so I decide to move things along through a back channel. We're all familiar with location-based dating apps, right? It's 2019, we don't have to make jokes about it. So in New York City, my search radius is a very cozy 8 miles, which is large enough to include Brooklyn. Well, fuck you. Yeah, 8 miles. Bitch, I live in Manhattan, okay? And I like boys who live in Bushwick. I know my type. Okay, so the 8-mile thing here. It excludes New Jersey, all right? But in Poughkeepsie, I realized that I can manipulate it, and I set it to 1 mile, which means that the people who pop up are going to be the people there for window pane. So immediately I open it, and Mark's the first person I see, and you'd think I'd immediately swipe right, but actually I have this 20-minute long internal debate about whether or not I can, because I'm so hopeful, and I need this, right? And what if I swipe right and he doesn't? I need to keep the hope alive. And what if I swipe right and he swipes right? I need to keep my job, and I actually don't know if this is allowed, Yeah. So I go for it, and we match, and we flirt, and we talk, and we say we'll see each other tomorrow, and I give him my number, and then he doesn't say anything. And then a whole day goes by, and he never texts me. And by early evening on his last night in town, I'm spinning out. Look, if it were New York City, I'd tell him to go fuck himself. I mean, in my head. But I'd move on, right? But not here. I need the win. That night, I go to the only bar in town, knowing that eventually Mark will walk in. Like any small town bar, this one is just like wall-to-wall mirrors everywhere. It's like an inside-out disco ball, but like minus any of the things that made disco fun. It's just filled with my coworkers and townies. With all the mirrors around, I can see when Mark walks in wearing yet another fucking scarf. How many did he pack for a 4-day trip? We don't ever acknowledge each other. It's like a middle school dance. The person who cares more loses. So for an hour, I sit there and we sort of orbit each other and never say anything. And I'm about ready to throw in the towel. And I go to use the bathroom, and lo and behold, he sidles up next to me, and it allows us to have the, oh my God, you've been here the whole time, I can't believe I didn't see you moment that we've all been waiting desperately for. And honestly, from that point on, it's a wrap. We close down the bar, we make out on my golf cart, we pee in bushes, and sing Ella Fitzgerald at the top of our lungs, and when we go back to my place and he's shitty in bed, it doesn't actually matter. I got my win. Sex can be about any number of things, right? It's about love or lust, human connection, power. For me, the win was never about getting off. all of the little wins, all of the dating, were about reclaiming something that felt lost. Power and control, especially when it came to how I used my body. With the injury, with the job from hell, it didn't ever matter what my brain wanted. I was a perpetual victim of circumstance. But when it came to dating, or to men, or to Mark, I had control. I made shit happen. I saw Mark, I got Mark. I got to feel wanted and validated and seen. I got to feel powerful. And is there really any bigger win than that?